Drager. Now the Drager is still very much in use, not this particular one, but for any of you who have been at Monmouth, you've probably seen the Drager in use. It's not this particular one, but just about everything on it is very similar. This is an infant ventilator. It mostly works pressure ventilation. As we know, most infants are ventilated with pressure, and why do you think that is?
So we don't blow out their lungs.
Exactly. What kind of volume would you have to set for a 1 pounder? What kind of tidal volume?
2, 3.
What kind of tidal volume would you have to set for a 1 pounder?
Is there
Okay, 1 pound divided by 2.2 gives you 0.45 kilos. And if you say 6 meals per kilogram, 2.7 milliliters.
So you just multiply that by 6.
Mm-hmm.
2.7.
So you would actually be setting 3 milliliters of tidal volume.
1 pound divided by 2.2 is your kilograms.
Yeah, just
And
like
then-
you did with the adults.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
multiply your height
Oh,
and
okay, I'm sorry.
Earth to Nikki.
I know. Okay.
Okay. So it's easier to ventilate them with pressure ventilation. We tried volume ventilation years ago, and they have been trying it again since then with your full-term or larger infants, or when you're in the pediatric community. But when you're working with the neonates, it's much easier to set a pressure, but you still have to make sure you're giving sufficient volume to adequately ventilate them. This particular machine has to have 50 psi air and oxygen going through, and I have to turn on this loud thing.
That's it. Final video.
Yeah, right? Is it the final
So
name?
you're on and on to which
Everyone
that's
say
in
hi.
the back, and it's under a little cover back here. So when you push the button, it comes on. All of your controls are across the bottom here. You have soft keys here. The first thing it says is it wants to calibrate your oxygen because you have an internal oxygen analyzer. It also wants to calibrate the flow sensitivity. This is your flow sensor. A lot of the newer ventilators with the infants, you have a flow sensor that measures inspiratory flow and as well as volume. And this is the inline between the patient and your Y. And then when you put this in line, you're going to hit Cal configuration. Okay. Calibration configuration. And it says slow cal, O2 cal. So it's got a lot of, I don't know if you can see that, but it's going across the bottom here and it has a soft key underneath it. And if I hit the one under flow calibration, then it says start. And it's calibrating the flow.
Can't read it anyway.
If you don't calibrate it, I promise you're going to get a lot of alarms and it's going to be going crazy on you. Now, in order to set your modes, you see down here it says vent modes.
Does that pull closer, Mary?
Huh?
Does that pull closer so we can actually see the...
Gotta make sure the cord. How's that?
Yep. Move your chair.
Okay. You're going to hit the mode, and the modes again go across the bottom here. So you can choose your mode. You have CPAP, CMV, SIMV, assist control, or just pressure support ventilation. So it just fell apart on me. Hold on to that for a second. Now it won't stop.
So we would use a special filter with this one, Mary, then?
Actually, you mean the inspiratory filter? Actually, we use the same one.
Same one?
Same one. other ventilator that we're not even going to use now. Okay, so if I want to put my patient on assist control, which I just did, now I can give the patient volume guarantee, pressure control ventilation, but it's giving me volume guarantee. That's kind of like PRVC for an infant. When I said that, you see I have my tidal volume here that I can turn on. And down here I would check my peak flow. I would set my peak flow, my FiO2. Now one thing I like about this machine, you don't set a rate specifically. You set an I time and an E time, and that gives you your rate.
How do you do the tidal volume?
So I'm going to see it down here. You see the number in milliliters. You see a positive and a negative number sign. Positive takes it up. See how it's going up in milliliters. Negative, I'm taking it down. Okay, now I have it down in milliliters. Now I can go into my graphs, and I can look at either the pressure graph or the flow graph.
Oh, there's words up there. You can't see it from down there.
Huh?
You can't see it from here.
There's no such thing as a dumb question.
No, it's okay. Go on.
No, what would you
Just
say?
say it.
No. I'll want to watch.
We're not going to see babies.
Okay, I just hit flow, and now it's showing me my flow waveform or my pressure waveform. If I go back into my ventilator mode, I go into CMD, for example, I have to hit on to let it know that I'm changing.
Mary, what was the tidal volume range again? Was it 5 to 7 still?
You mean for an average for a child, for an infant?
Yeah, the high and the
I
lows.
think for an infant it is 5 to 7.
5 to
yeah,
7.
mils per kilogram. You see this little thing right here? It says trigger. This is my sensitivity. You also notice I have a plus and a minus key underneath it. I can make it more sensitive. Okay. See how the bar is going up? Or I can make it less sensitive. If I want to check that, I can, my minute ventilation, my FiO2, and my mean airway pressure is all being displayed here. If I go into, I'm going to go back and go into list. If I go into list, it's showing me my I time, my expiratory time, my IE ratio. It's telling me I have a leak in the system, and that's because I'm not attached to anything. And just to get rid of that, I just hit confirm, and it goes away. When I attach it to the lung, then I won't have that alarm continuous. Now it says it's instructed because I have it included.
So confirm your alarm silent?
Kind of, yeah, because you're confirming the alarm that just went off. But you need to fix it before you do that.
Okay.
As you
I
can
see
see,
you included in the confirm.
well, I just have it
Yeah.
included because it's going to alarm me.
Mary, will you talk about this, like the circuit? The circuit on that is the 2 cups and the, I don't know, what, it looks very different. The
Very
circuit
different from what?
from a regular circuit.
This doesn't have a heated wire. If it had a heated wire, you wouldn't have.
So that's for condensation.
And if you notice, I don't have it attached to any kind of humidifier.
Okay.
Every time you hook up an infant, it will be attached to a humidifier. As a matter of fact, when I had that one, when I was going to show you that one, I had it hooked to the humidifier. I came out of the machine to the humidifier, and then the circuit is a nightmare.
Does this one have filters or?
You would put a filter under here. Then you have your analyzer in line as it comes out of the machine. Now normally it would go to the humidifier and then to the patient, but I don't have a humidifier on here.
For check-off, are we hooking this up to the HME? I mean, the web?
Would you use an HME for neonate?
That's what I meant.
No, I don't have one here.
We're not gonna hook that up?
I'm not going to hook it up. I can bring the other machine out that would require you, but when Jillian suggested that we use one ventilator, I had to choose whichever one. That one is much more complicated, and it does have a humidifier attached to it. This one does not, so I chose this one. So now it's just going to the
It
patient.
would be humidified and have.
Yeah, well, you would also have to know that you would put a humidifier on,
Are you
yeah.
getting that?
Oxygen analyzer's right there, yeah.
Inspiration comes out of the machine to the patient. This is your inspiratory list.
And would you have another analyzer here?
No,
before
just right
this?
here.
Just right there?
Just right here.
Okay.
And just as it's coming out of the
But if
machine,
it was
even
attached,
before it goes to the
so
humidifier.
this was attached to the wick, then you would have,
Still, as it's coming out of the
temperature
machine.
control, right? You would have by the patient and then
We have a
also-
temperature control, not a humidifier.
what?
I mean,
That's
not
right,
a
yeah, you have
humidifier.
a temperature control by the,
There's this
Watch
by
out,
there.
I'm watching this.
Okay, you want me to hook up the
Yeah, there's this
humidifier?
girl.
No,
I don't know.
it's okay.
I mean, everybody keeps asking about the humidifier.
No, I just wanted to confirm the temperature control.
Oh, okay.
They're fine. They're fine.
You're fine? You sure?
Yep.
Okay.
Does it have apnea?
It does, you have to set it, but let me get to that. Why does it say we got a leak? I don't have a leak. Okay, as I was saying, you don't set a rate directly with this machine. You set an I time and an E time, and that determines your rate. For example, right now my I time is 0.8, and my E time is 2, and my rate is 24 breaths per minute. If I put my I time down, what's a normal I time for an infant?
Higher. It's like a point. It's like a 4 to 1 or something.
It's like
No, I
it's like
time, not
0.3 or
I
0.4.
0.4 to 0.6. So if I put my I time down to 0.4, some of you may have noticed that my respiratory rate changed to 28, from 24 to 28. Now, if I want to go back to 24 breaths per minute, I have to change my E time. And by moving my E time, I'm now back to 24 breaths per minute.
So what did you change the lead time to?
I lower it. Let me just put it on the lung so it'll stop it going.
If you decrease the I time,
Yeah.
then you have to change the lead time.
I'm sorry?
Just one, the one was the infant and then the one was infant slash adult.
Yeah, the little one on this side is infant and the big one's adult.
I thought it was infant and adult on that side now. Is there a switch? I thought it said that, so just one on the left.
No, you see how much smaller that is and how much that's just the infant side. Okay, back to the original. My respiratory rate is 24 breaths per minute. My I time is 0.4 seconds. Then the doctor comes along and says, I still want a rate of 24, but I want the I time to be 0.6 seconds. If I change my I time to 0.6, my respiratory rate would be 22. But I want to keep the rate at 24, so now I have to change my E time, and now I'm back to 24. But you have to do whichever it takes to give you the rate that you need.
No, she
Usually,
increased
if the
it.
doctor writes an order, he's not going to write an order for your E time or your IE ratio. He's going to write an order for your I time, and then you have to manipulate your E time to get the appropriate rate. What was your question, Ann?
You increased your E time, you said. You increased it.
Depends on the rate. For example,
No, just now though, you increased the
just
E
now I
time.
increased it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you just like explain that again with the respiratory? You
If the doctor says he wants it lower,
Usually, the doctor will order the I time. They will
well,
not order
if you're
an
set
IE
at 24 and he
ratio.
says he wants 22, you have to adjust
They will order
the
the I
opposite of what he
time.
doesn't give you to make out the
So if the
number.
doctor tells you, I want the patient's I time to be, let's say 0.5, if you look up here where it says my I time, I'll turn this knob until it says 0.5.
right?
Now I'm at 0.5. But my rate changed to 25.
So you would
So
Decrease
now
your
I would
E
have to change my E time to get this back to 25. What is your problem? And whether or not you increase or now I'm decreasing my E time. You see my rate's going up? If I increase my E time,
will go down.
my rate's going down. So now I'm back to 24 breaths per minute.
When you increase E time, it's
the opposite.
So your eye time will be set. Usually the doctor will give you that. They don't give you an eye time for adults, but they do give you an eye time most of the time for infants. Then you have to manipulate the E time to get the appropriate rate. The other thing that you can manipulate is your peak flow. How fast do you want that breath to go into the baby? Now keep in mind with your adults, we're using things like 40 to 60 liters per minute. If you look down here, it starts at 1 and it goes only up to 30 liters per minute. Depending on the size of your infant, 8, 10, 12 liters per minute is what you're going to be working with.
So should we start at 8 and then see what type of?
In your infant book, I forget what page it's on. It gives you starting points as far as parameters for spit initiation. And I have no page in. I lost it.
There's the power button.
Oh, okay. In your checkup
Initial
book?
ventilation settings for newborn infants for the flow rate. It says 4 to 10.
4 to 10 liters per minute. 4 is very, very low, and that would have to be for like a micro preemie, like somebody under a pound. Usually 8, 10, 12, depending on the size of the baby. Right now I have it on 10. And remember, you're doing pressure ventilation, so over here is your peak pressure. And over here, these two numbers here, you have your flow, inspiratory flow, your expiratory flow, and your inspiratory pressure. It says 37 centimeters of water. And you also have your trigger set. If I go to this screen, where it says measurement 1, it's measuring my peak inspiratory pressure, my P, it would have my FiO2 if I had one in here, frequency total, it's giving me my minute ventilation and my tidal volume if there's any leak in the system. This one actually does hemodynamic, not hemodynamic, but compliance measurement. It gives you your static and your dynamic compliance and your resistance for the infant if you're going to be doing all of those different measurements. What would be the, what do you think would be the tubing compliance on a circuit like this?
1.5?
Huh?
Like 1.5 or 1?
It would be very low.
Like
1.1.
half of an adult one, probably.
Huh?
Probably like half of an adult.
At least
So like,
half of what an adult is. No, I won't have you do tubing compliance on this one, but just give me a basic idea of what you think it is based on your reading in your ventilator. This arrow, the arrow side, this little thing down here that looks like a scale, that's how you set your alarms. So if I hit that, this is my minute ventilation, and then I have my apnea and my apnea lay, and whether or not my tachypnea alarm. So if I'm going to change my minute ventilation here is 5.4 liters, and I have my high set at 0.68 and my low set at 0.38. But you can change that. For example, this one is highlighted, and again, you're going to use the plus and minus keys. Plus key makes it higher, minus key makes it lower, and the arrow keys moves it from one to the other. So this would be how you would set your alarms.
So is there like with adults we normally get 10 or 20 above and 10 or 20 below?
You don't need, not 20, you can set 20 above or below with the need, and that you're going to set it
Five to
closer
five.
at 5 to 10.
For this ventilators, worked on like the pressure
Yes.
limit. If you set the alarm pressure, they can get up to that pressure that you're setting the alarm, so you don't want more than 10 above.
Yeah, you don't want it that far above,
Because they
because
get
if the
up to-
baby gets a key or a plug,
This is different.
you want to know that right away. You don't want it to be so high
We were at
set that
Mama's.
she's not going to alarm right
So say
away.
you had
So
the
you want 5 to 10, more than 10. Like with the adult, we tell you 15, 20 above. With the child, it's going to be more like 5 to 10. Let's see if we can go back to You can also go into SIMD. I'm in assist control mode. When I hit assist control, I have to say on to let it know it's on. I have to change my trigger level. I can go into volume guaranteed, and when I go into volume guaranteed, I have to set the volume that I want the baby to be guaranteed to get, even though I'm doing pressure ventilation. And you're gonna set that by hitting the plus and minus key, and that will change your volume.
And the doctor would give you that value as well?
The doctor would give you that value.
What mode are you in right now, ma'am?
When you go into the assist control mode, you can use a thing here called volume guaranteed.
She told us today, don't use the assist control.
But it's used sometimes, so you have to know each mode, I guess.
You have to know all the modes. Exactly.
But the assist control on this isn't like the assist control on the 840. The assist control on this is more like the RBC on Servo Live, which is what they use in the NICU at Servo.
Why were you told not to use assist control on it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get
She
it.
said use SIMD.
Who?
Just learning.
On Android?
Today, she just said.
Well, are you talking about the one with the surfactant question, or just in general?
But she
On
also
every infant?
But she also
No,
said something
regardless?
about can use assist control, but
No,
it's
she
not.
just said you won't really
But-
see it. You'll
Yeah.
see pressure
We said
control.
modes of ventilation system control. The patient can increase their minute ventilation by triggering patient-initiated machine breath. It's rarely used. It's used if they're in a coma, intracranial bleed, or patients on a neuromuscular bone infusion. So it's used sometimes, but it's not preferred.
So it's not a never.
Yeah,
Use it,
but it's
yeah.
used. But SIMD.
And what are we setting in AC control? Everybody's questioning.
It's an option on there. What is it? Assist control.
That's what she's in, yeah.
Okay, this is a very simple machine to use. Everything is all self-explanatory right on here. It's explained both in your EGAN and your ventilator book. Your infant book also explains a lot about the use of this machine and the different parameters that you can use.
Is it in Mosby's at all, or no?
Huh?
Do you know if it's in Mosby's at all, or no?
It is in Mosby's, and it is in your infant
There's a whole
book.
chapter on it.
Yeah, it breaks down.
Like chapter 18.
So the basic thing that you're going to set up is you're going to make sure that you don't have to do like an SST, but as I showed you, you have to calibrate your O2 and you have to calibrate the flow. If you don't have your flow sensor in line, like if I take the flow sensor out of line, then there's some parameters that you can't use, like setting your sensitivity or setting your volume guarantee. So you have to have your flow sensor in line with this particular machine because it helps you to set your sensitivity and it helps you with that volume guarantee. Your modes are very easy. You just put modes and it comes across the bottom down here and it tells you which mode you want to get. This is your back arrow, and you can, if you want to look at your graphs, you hit graphs. And then it asks you, do you want to look at your pressure waveform or your flow waveform? And you choose which one you want to look at. Right now we're looking at the pressure waveform. Or I can switch it to the flow waveform. But you notice I don't have a flow waveform because I don't have my flow sensor in line. So there's no flow waveform on the screen. If I put my flow sensor in line, then I can also look at the flow waveform.
Where is that hooked up to the back?
Huh?
So where's the flow sensor hooked up to the back?
It's,
Okay.
this is it. You will always, when you're working with infants, have an oxygen analyzer in line regardless. No matter what
Stays
kind
in line? Stays in line?
Huh?
It stays in line the whole time?
It stays in line the whole
Check out,
time.
like, Tuesday.
As you're measuring it coming out of the machine, you will have your oxygen analyzer in line. And you notice now that I have my flow sensor in, I have a flow waveform. Without the flow sensor, I didn't have a flow waveform. And when you want to know your changes, you're going to hit list. Because your changes are down here, but you want to read it in the screen to see what you're actually doing. So if I want to change my eye time, and I'm in list, it will show me what my I time is. It will show me what my E time is, my IE ratio, my peak flow, and all of that will be shown on this one. And then measurement 2 is measuring all of my parameters. So when you do your vent check, you want to look at list as well as measurement 2. This measurement where it does a lot of your measurements for you. It's going to get your compliance, your resistance, your airway resistance. If we were going to do those measurements, you would go to measurement 2.
Oh, you know what?
Your band arrow and your alarm setting. And to change your alarms, this one moves it, and this one moves the numbers up and down, your plus and minus data. And that's pretty much all there is to this machine.
Can we do the calibration again?
What are the white things in the back? Those are the
You have to go into Cal configuration. It says tube obstructed. It goes across up here, calibration, and the bottom here it says calibrate flow, or your O2, your sensor. So if I want to calibrate the flow sensor, I hit the button underneath there, and now it's calibrating my flow sensor.
So you don't have to include anything? Or...
It tells you what to do,
Okay.
flow sensor calibration, and then it says start. And now it wants to know if I want to calibrate the O2 sensor. It's been saying leak all the time. I don't think I've got a leak here. Okay?
Is it still calibrating?
No, it's done. It takes
Oh,
a
I
second.
was watching that thing go.
No, it takes it a minute. It's doing
Oh.
that because I don't have anything plugged up.
Oh. Okay.
Now when I plug something up, you get a flow waveform.
Okay.